Hi, and welcome back to Grassroots Crypto, where I like to teach people about crypto. In this video, we're going to be doing part 2 of our Tour of THORChain series. So if you haven't seen part 1, I encourage you to check it out. It talks about what is THORChain, what makes it special, a little bit about RUNE, and some of the core services. In this video is part 2, we're going to be talking about the core services of swapping, saving, and lending. I'm going to be doing a brief explanation about what they are, and a little bit of detail about how they work. I've got some videos that go into these parts in more detail that I'll be pointing out along the way, as well as some really good THORChain University articles that I'll be pointing to if you want to get more information. At the heart of THORChain lies swapping, and every feature relies on swapping. THORChain employs a fee-sensitive, slip-based fee system. In simple terms, this means the larger the amount of crypto you want to swap at once, the higher the fee. You can kind of think of this as the opposite to bulk buying. Conversely, spreading the trade over time makes it more cost efficient. This is known as streaming swaps, or also called time-weighted average price. This can make large swaps much cheaper, but I'll be talking about that, streaming swaps and all that type of thing in my next video. So how does swapping work? People called liquidity providers, so these people, provide THORChain crypto, e.g. Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is held in a special crypto vault. They are called liquidity providers because they provide funds in the form of crypto that enables swapping. So when a person, say Alice, wants to swap Bitcoin to Ethereum, she sends her Bitcoin to a special vault. And then the equivalent amount of Ethereum, minus fees, is sent from the vault to Alice. The fees for the swap go to liquidity providers for providing the crypto that enabled the swap. I did say in my previous video, RUNE is involved in every aspect of THORChain. And every swap involves RUNE within THORChain, whether the user is dealing with RUNE or not. Let's go have a look. When a liquidity provider provides crypto for swapping, they always provide 50% of the asset, e.g. Bitcoin in this case, and then 50% of RUNE. So if a liquidity provider is providing $1,000 worth of liquidity in the Bitcoin pool for swapping, they're really providing, say, $500 worth of Bitcoin and $500 worth of RUNE. There's always 50% asset and 50% RUNE inside of the pool that enables the swaps. This means that every asset is paired with RUNE as a trading pair. So going back to our example of Bitcoin to Ethereum, that's really a double swap. Really what's happening is Bitcoin is coming in, it's being swapped to RUNE, and then RUNE is then being swapped to Ethereum, and then that Ethereum is being sent back to Alice here. Most users won't know what's happening under the hood. They're just sending in a Bitcoin and getting Ethereum back, and really having no knowledge of what's happening with RUNE in this double swap process. In this case, the liquidity providers who provided the Bitcoin and the Ethereum to THORChain will both collect a fee because they're both involved in the overall swap process. The income from being a liquidity provider can be very good, but there are risks and you should have a low time preference. There are several articles here from THORChain University to give you more information about being a liquidity provider, as well as some of the risks that you should be aware of, as well as I've made a video here that you can have a look at regarding high-level pooling with a few examples and scenarios. All the links will be in the description below. Next, we have savers. You can think of savers like a high interest account. However, the interest rate is variable based on the market activity and is paid in kind, e.g. paid in the same asset you provided. So simply put, if you deposit your crypto, you're going to get an in-kind return or yield on it. So if you put in Bitcoin, you're going to earn yield on the Bitcoin, and your yield is going to get paid out in Bitcoin. You put in Ethereum, you're going to get your principal plus your yield in Ethereum. And you never have to touch RUNE in the process. So how does Savers work? Savers works with native assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as some stables. This is the current list of assets available for Savers. The crypto is deposited into the same special vault here and is used to enable swaps, as we discussed before. Indirectly, savers are a liquidity provider, and you're providing liquidity to help enable swaps, e.g. RUNE to asset. Therefore, you receive the income when swaps happen. You get some of those fees just like a liquidity provider. But not as much as being a liquidity provider because there's less risk. The actual saver's deposit is held as 50% asset, or say e.g. 50% Bitcoin and 50% RUNE, just the same as liquidity provider's position is held, except the saver's position is immune from impermanent loss, e.g. their principal is protected. Liquidity providers and the reserve essentially underwrite the savers. While you will have to watch my Since video to learn more about the details and the impact of liquidity providers, and I'll put a link in the description below, when a user withdraws from savers, their principal and the interest or the yield that's being generated is in the native asset they provided. So again, if they provided Bitcoin and they've got yield on that Bitcoin, when they withdraw, if not save 50% asset, 50% RUNE, when they withdraw, they're only going to get Bitcoin, their principal, plus whatever interest that they've earned. The return or the interest you get depends on how many swaps there are, the fees collected, and essentially how many savers are already utilizing the savers vault. So the return, or the APY, is market driven and created from real fees within circulation crypto, not just from minted crypto. As a saver user doesn't touch RUNE, they won't necessarily be aware of what's happening under the hood and where RUNE is involved in the process. THORChain University have a good article on savers as well as POL, which I'll talk about more in my next video that you can go and have a look at. And I've created a video on synthetics that goes into more detail, as well as an entire synth series, which is on my YouTube channel, that really talks to the details about synthetics, which is really what underpins savers. And I'll be talking more about synthetics in the next video. So feel free to check them out to get more information. And lastly, we have lending. So lending is where you can get a crypto loan that has eye-wateringly good terms. You can use native L1 assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral to obtain a debt in crypto, like a stablecoin. So we're using Bitcoin as collateral to take a debt out in USDT. The loan has no interest, no liquidations, and no expiry. So once you've opened the loan and you received your debt, e.g. USDT here, you never have to pay back the loan. It's yours for good. And you can use it as a house deposit if you want, buy whatever you need to buy, and you don't need to pay it back. However, if you want to get your collateral back, you need to fully repay the loan in order to unlock that collateral. So how does lending work? Well, that is complex, but in short, when you send crypto in, say 1 BTC, into this special vault we talked about before, it is swapped to RUNE, and then that RUNE is burnt, and then THORChain creates a representation of your BTC collateral for accounting purposes. The amount of debt you get, as in what's here and accounted for here, is determined by a collateralization ratio, which is currently fixed to 200%. As an example, if you provided $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, you're going to get approximately, minus fees, $500 worth of debt asset. And you can specify what debt asset you want. It doesn't have to be in stables. It could be in Ethereum or any other asset that THORChain supports. So based on that collateralization ratio, the debt is created and accounted for internally using this internal algorithmic stable coin called THOR, which is a USD equivalent, and then swapped to the requested debt asset that we talked about before. Closing a loan is essentially the reverse of opening a loan, but you need to pay off the loan, including fees incurred during the process. If you had a debt here of $500, you would need to pay a little bit more than $500 to account for the fees that are going to be incurred during the process to release the collateral, to swap the THOR to the representation of the collateral, that's the same as what's up here, and then swap that to the actual collateral that you receive when you fully repay the loan. You can part repay the loan and then withdraw on it again, kind of like a line of credit. But as I said before, you can't unlock your collateral until you fully repay the loan. Now, if you're keeping track, there are 4 swaps to open and 4 swaps to close a loan. So there's 8 swaps in total in a holistic loan lifecycle. For more information on lending, you can see the THORChain University article here. That's got lots of good information regarding lending. Or you can see my video that goes through lending, going from the basic with the things like the terms, as well as getting into some of the safety mechanisms and the more complex stuff. I've got some other videos on lending as well that you can check out to get more information. So they're the primary services that THORChain has to offer: swapping, saving, and lending, and they are the bread and butter of THORChain. This allows users to use DeFi in a decentralized way with a self-custody wallet using the interface of their choice without the need for wrapping or bridges. I hope you have a better understanding of how these services work. If you liked this video and you found it useful, hit the thumbs up and share it amongst your friends so they can get a better understanding of what THORChain has to offer and how it works. Please subscribe to see future videos and ask any questions in the comments section below. In the next video, we'll be looking at features that help make these services possible, like synthetics, streaming swaps, as well as some of the new services out. We've got trade accounts, swap cloud, memorless transactions, wrapper swaps, and maybe a few more things. Thanks for watching. Until next time.